All I'm saying is, it looks like it's gonna fall over at the end.
Yeah, but it's not about whether or not he's in a dream state anymore. The point is that he's walked away from the totem. He doesn't care if he's in a dream or not. He's just glad to be home with his kids. Yeah, well, what do you even know about real movies, bro? I bet you couldn't even name me one indie filmmaker. Oh yeah? Well, there's this little movie studio based out of Burbank, California, that I bet you've never heard of. It's, I'm not really sure how to say it, but, I think it's pronounced, Merval? Iron your cloak of levitation and polish your orb of agamotto, cause today on Trip Around the Block, we're connecting the Sorcerer Supreme's upcoming outing, Doctor Strange, to the movie that kicked off the entire MCU, 2008's Iron Man. It's been pointed out to me before that these two characters are pretty similar, and sure, they both have dark hair and goatees, but I think that's about the end of the comparisons. I mean, Stephen Strange is a completely different character to Tony Stark. Strange starts out as the best in the world in his field, has a life-altering near-death experience, only to overcome it and emerge the other side a better, humbler man who becomes a superhero to fight the forces of evil. See, it's a completely different character. Apart from Strange himself, who looks like he's stepped out of a comic book by the way, there's another character that I'm particularly curious about, and that's Baron Mordo. He's a pretty major Doctor Strange villain in the comics, and although it's clear that old crusty-eyed Caecilius over here is the main antagonist of this movie, I think Mordo could unveil his true colours further down the road, or maybe even towards the end of this film. So, we're starting this journey out with the actor that plays Baron Mordo in Marvel's next installment in their cinematic universe, Chiwetel Ejiofor. He puts in a solid performance just about every time I see him on screen, especially in movies like The Martian and 12 Years a Slave. But the movie we're choosing is one fairly early on in Chiwetel's career. I'm talking after Love Actually, but before American Gangster. Now I know what you're all thinking, but no. It's not 2005's Northampton-based drag queen comedy Kinky Boots. We're kicking things off with Alfonso Cuarón's Children of Men. This sci-fi adventure takes place in the year 2027, where no child has been born for 18 years, and science is at a loss to explain the reason why. Humankind is facing the likelihood of its own extinction, and our only hope is in the hands of one man by the name of Clive Owen to escort the only pregnant woman on Earth to safety and restore faith for the future of humanity. Alfonso Cuarón's directorial style is always something that has grabbed my attention, particularly when you compare the first two Chris Columbus Harry Potter movies to the darker, more mature Harry Potter that we see in The Prisoner of Azkaban, Cuarón's only directorial effort in the series. Although this is one of the only movies in the 8 where this handsome chap is not a direct threat to Harry, we're introduced to the cold, soul-sucking Dementors, and a supposed serial killer is on the loose and on the hunt for Potter. That's enough to scare the shit out of any 12-year-old kid. I don't care how much of a big tough guy you are now, Culkin. Alfonso certainly brings that edge-of-your-seat experience to Children of Men as well. And although it's less of a generic kids going to wizard school type of movie, you know, that classic genre, it undeniably captures the unpredictability of a dystopian war-like scenario through the use of long takes for its big action set pieces. Fun fact: London was announced as having the winning bid for the 2012 Olympics, shortly before the filming of Children of Men began. So, Cuarón decided to add a little Easter egg in the form of the jumper that Clive Owen's Theo wears for the majority of the movie, to add credibility to the fact that the events of this film take place 15 years after those games were held. Speaking of Clive Owen, I'm not usually a big fan of him as an actor for some reason, and I can't quite put together why. Maybe it's that his face always seems too squashed together. Maybe it's his constant need for sporting mustaches. I'm not sure. But what I do know is that he is fantastic in this movie. Although this film was very well paced throughout, with a great narrative flow, the quality of his performance certainly lifted it to an even higher level. You really felt that he was completely invested in the role, and it was a joy to watch. Michael Caine's cannabis-growing hippie character Jasper added a nice bit of levity, and just seeing Caine in this role, who tends to play the straight man, added some needed comic relief at times, helping to balance the movie's mostly dark and gritty tone. For a compelling plot, with some great acting and directing all round, I'm giving Children of Men a 9.2 out of 10. Moving on with Michael Caine, or should I say, Michael Caine. After revisiting some great performances in his earlier works, like Alfie and the Italian Job, you understand how truly talented an actor he is. But to this generation, I think he'll always be known for being Christopher Nolan's favourite actor over the age of 80 in movies like The Prestige, Inception, and Interstellar. However, the Michael Caine role that I'm choosing is that of Alfred J. Pennyworth in The Dark Knight. The Dark Knight, or Ki Sai Bong Dem, as I believe it's known in Vietnam, opens with Batman 1 year on in his continuing war on crime. With the help of Lieutenant Jim Gordon and District Attorney Harvey Dent, Batman sets out to destroy organised crime in Gotham for good. Although the arrests made begin to dismantle the mobs across the city, soon the three find themselves prey to a rising criminal mastermind known as the Joker, who forces Gotham into anarchy and pushes Batman closer than ever to crossing the fine line between hero and vigilante. Along with Memento, I think that this is some of Christopher Nolan's finest work on screen. He managed to balance all of the rich characters in this universe incredibly well, which is equally a testament to his brother Jonathan Nolan, who wrote the screenplay for this film. Even though this world is pretty accurate to the comic books, it still feels incredibly realistic. Realistic enough that billionaire Mark Zuckerberg just needs to get mugged once on his way back from the Facebook offices, fall into a well, hit the gym a little bit, and we're there. This trilogy not only captured the hearts and minds of superhero fans, but moviegoers as a whole, as these are relatable stories with relatable characters to which you can understand their motives regardless of whether you enjoy comic book characters or not. Well, I mean, apart from Bane, I'm not sure there are many guys who grew up in a hole and, you know, have tits. Fun fact. The Dark Knight made more money than Batman Begins made in its entire domestic run within the first 6 days of release. What? Although this film was already highly anticipated, after Heath Ledger's untimely death, audiences swarmed to cinemas to see the product of his stunning and unique portrayal of the Joker. I think this iconic display is regarded as one of the benchmarks to which other roles are compared, and truly was the pinnacle of a remarkable career. The Dark Knight also sees Christian Bale once again balance the on-screen dynamics of both Batman and Bruce Wayne remarkably well, and Gary Oldman seems exactly how I imagine comic book Jim Gordon to be. In the days before his daughter grew up and he started getting all shouty, I honestly can't think of one weak link throughout this entire movie's cast. The Dark Knight is a sublime movie, not only for the spectacle of the practical effects it displays, but also for the outstanding storytelling and developed character arcs that help build the world and help Gotham feel like a truly multifaceted city. The Dark Knight gets 9.6. Now, when you look at Gary Oldman, you see a middle-aged man who probably takes more fatherly figure type roles, yes? Maybe he's on a sitcom like the dad from Malcolm in the Middle or something. Well, like the dad from Malcolm in the Middle, he can completely break bad if his next character calls for it. Throughout his career, he's ranged from an infamous mobster, to Dracula, to a police commissioner, to a narcotic distributing, dreadlock wearing, gun shooting pimp. And that's who we're choosing for this next link. Drexel Spivey from 1993's True Romance. Clarence Worley, played by Christian Slater, is a lonely pop culture nerd who falls in love with a call girl and accidentally takes drugs from her pimp. The hooker nerd couple then go on the run to Los Angeles to sell the drugs and live happily ever after. Only they don't know the Sicilian Mafia and the LAPD are after their stash. This film is directed by the late Tony Scott, brother to Ridley Scott, who has certainly paved his own way in cinema over the years with films like Top Gun and the massively underappreciated movie from 2010 called Unstoppable. And I think it's fair to say that True Romance has also become one of its hits, as well as being a 90s cult classic movie. From Hans Zimmer's score to the all-star cast, this movie certainly has a lot going for it. Tarantino wrote the screenplay for this film, and from the dialogue and the violence throughout, that's pretty clear to see. Fun fact. The word f*** and its derivatives are said 225 times in this movie, which again is another bloody massive indication that Tarantino is the man behind this script. Christian Slater and Patricia Arquette are on the top of their game in this film. The plausibility of this movie is entirely dependent upon their on-screen chemistry together, and they definitely pulled it off. As far as cameos go, Brad Pitt as the stoner was absolutely priceless. Val Kilmer as imaginary Elvis, who appears to Clarence seemingly whenever he's taking a leak to give advice, added to the truly original feel of this movie and gave it an extremely unique tone. True Romance gets an 8.4 out of 10. Using imaginary Elvis himself for our next link, there was only one Val Kilmer movie to choose in my eyes. This is one of my all-time favourite directors, behind one of my all-time favourite movies. What am I even babbling on about? I'm sure you've all got it by now. That's right, it's Joel Schumacher's Batman Forever. Let's not even go there. I'm talking Shane Black's Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. We open in Los Angeles, where small-time thief Harry Lockhart stumbles into an audition for the role of a detective in a movie. He is invited to a party where he meets Private Eye Gay Perry, who suggests that he participate in a real-life investigation to develop his character. After chancing upon Harmony Faith Lane, a friend from his childhood, who is now in Los Angeles to become a movie star, the thief, the private investigator, and the wannabe actress know that's not the setup of a joke, then seek to find out the truth behind a murder case with many leads. If you haven't seen this film, it has a very similar style to Shane Black's newest movie, The Nice Guys, with a sort of comical murder mystery feel to it. Black never seems to disappoint me, even in Iron Man 3, which I know a lot of people found subpar for a Marvel installment, but I found that film's natural humour quite refreshing compared to some of the other generic Marvel properties like Thor: The Dark World. Fun fact. Although the film leads us to believe that the characters played by Robert Downey Jr. and Michelle Monaghan grew up together, there's actually an 11-year age difference between the two actors. That's right, Michelle Monaghan is 40 and Robert Downey Jr. is 51. Damn! I gotta find out about that guy's skincare regime. Kiss Kiss Bang Bang was undoubtedly my type of movie. You've got quipping Robert Downey Jr. at his best, but Val Kilmer, he even steals a few scenes from the king of quippiness. I mean, wait, did I just say Robert Downey Jr.? He links up to Iron Man. Kiss Kiss Bang Bang gets a 9.4 out of 10, and I'm not wearing any trousers. That's how you link the two blokes in the MCU who look vaguely similar to each other. Interestingly, let me know how you would have chosen to link these characters via some of your favourite movies down below in the comments section. Also subscribe if you feel like it, and leave a like on the video if you care to. Or don't do any of that. It's your life and I don't want to tell you what to do. I've been your host, Mr. Joe-verrated. Have a good one, YouTube.